Good evening. As I'm sure you know, it is conference championship weekend in the NFL world. And you may be wondering, yes, it is conference championship weekend. So what took you so long to get out this video that revolves around such high magnitude matchups? And my answer is that these matchups are so incredibly tight and well matched. I was really trying to take my time to determine who I think will
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Fun fact, did you know that this will be the 8th consecutive Super Bowl that'll see one or even two teams from the Western divisions make it to the big game? It's like the NFL is ran by the West. And there's also a 3 in 4 chance we will be seeing a Super Bowl rematch of a Super Bowl that took place within the last 11 years, barring a Rams and Broncos victory. And the best part is, all of these remaining teams are kind of evenly matched. The Super Bowl is literally up for grabs. W Super Bowl matchup. Now let's say our condolences to the fallen teams and get right into the predictions. First up is the AFC Championship between the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. This game itself is a rematch between these two teams that fought this battle precisely 1 decade ago in the same point of the playoffs in the same goddamn stadium. And both games will be seeing a high-flying Patriots offense taking on a dominant Denver defense. And in both cases, the winner will be going to Santa Clara to play in the Super Bowl. Is this deja vu? Did we accidentally go back in time and then just pull this game out of our asses? But anyway, let's talk about how these two teams got here. The Patriots took down the Houston Texans in a turnover frenzy. There was turnovers left and right. It was a mess by both teams. But the difference is that the Patriots were able to capitalize on some of those turnovers and convert them into points on the scoreboard. The Texans, unfortunately, were unable to do so. And it's pretty much what I said in my last video, the Texans' turnover problem when they took on the Steelers. That was going to be a problem if they didn't patch that shit up. And sure enough, not only did they not patch it up, it got worse, seemingly. And this is about the expected result when you keep doing that shit. And the Broncos took down the Buffalo Bills in a back and forth showdown that went into overtime. Even though on that final drive that led to the game-winning field goal, they did have their hand held a little bit by Bills penalties. Not saying that those penalties weren't warranted, because that was just the Bills being fucking stupid. But it wasn't all Broncos that closed it out, and I feel like that's kind of important to mention. It's also important to mention that both defenses against their opponents last week forced 5 turnovers, to which their offenses would occasionally capitalize and convert them into points. I mean, both defenses were just brutal last week, simple as that. Now let's get into the concerns that both teams should have going into this matchup. Starting with the Patriots, despite forcing 5 turnovers, they themselves lost the ball 3 times that game. And fortunately for them, again, the Texans weren't really able to capitalize on those turnovers as much as they should have. But that doesn't make it okay. The Patriots simply got a break with those, Houston miscues. And that is something that they are absolutely going to have to fix going into this game against a Broncos defense that again also forced 5 turnovers against their opponents, and just in general have a really good defense that's been forcing turnovers all season long. And for the Broncos, oh, that's even more heartbreaking. On the final drive of that game, all of Colorado was basking in jubilation and the sensation of bliss that they are about to punch their ticket to the AFC Championship, just to learn shortly after it all that Bo Nix fractured his ankle. Badly enough to where he will be missing the rest of the postseason, however far the Broncos make it, and that obviously includes this game right here. Bo Nix will not be attending, or at least suited up. That role will be going to Jarrett Stidham. If you don't know who that is, I don't blame you. So essentially, the Broncos' already mediocre offense will be weighed down even more by an inexperienced quarterback. And one other concerning con to the Broncos' performance last week was the fact that they allowed 30 points to the Buffalo Bills, who are actually a step beneath the Patriots in terms of overall offense. And I'm going to tell you right now, if the defense is what defines your team and you're still letting up 30 plus points in the playoffs, I don't see how you're getting past the Patriots here, who seem to work well with whoever the hell they're going against. And the Patriots have in fact impressed the NFL world by taking down some of the toughest defenses in the NFL. Hell, they just took down the Chargers, who have a pretty solid defense. They just beat the #1 Texans defense. And now they got another top tier defense to go against in the Broncos. So I mean, it's safe to say that no matter how tough your defense is, the Patriots can pierce right through that shit and still take you down. Not to mention, New England themselves has a pretty solid defense that is not easy to get by. But if it's any consolation, the game's being played in Mile High, where the high altitude lowers the amount of O2 in the atmosphere, and Broncos players are used to playing in that shit, and I'm gonna continue to keep bringing this up every time games are being played here. But with all that said, I firmly believe that it'll be the New England Patriots that win this game and punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. And the deciding factor with me is actually not the Broncos quarterback situation, it's the fact that the Patriots have proven that they can beat you no matter how good your offense or defense is. They treat their opponents all the same. And the few times they do have their blunders, they make sure that their opponents have even bigger blunders. So yeah, I got New England returning to their familiar place as the kings of the AFC. And then the NFC Championship, the LA Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams last week managed to outclutch the super clutch Bears and secure a spot in the NFC title game. Meanwhile, the Seahawks, well, they just kind of took advantage of the 49ers injuries and tap danced on them for 60 minutes. I tell you, 49ers fans are in shambles right now. Complete fucking shambles. They watched their star players get destroyed throughout the course of the entire season because their medical staff was hired from Attaway General, which ultimately led to the demise of their season. And now they gotta watch their most hated rivals duke it out in the NFC title game, and then we'll have to watch one of these guys play in their home field in the Super Bowl. At least they'll be able to see one of them lose? So for the Seahawks, in their battle against the 49ers, if you could call it a battle, it was all defense. That was the bulk of their dominating performance. It was that fucking brutal defense that's asserted itself as the best in the NFL right now. Though I can't say a whole lot about Seattle's offense, because they only had 281 total yards offensively, and for a team that dropped 41 points, that's not a whole lot. And that's because their defense is doing all the work, constantly stopping the 49ers. So Seattle's offense, for the most part, would pick up the ball with great field position, so they didn't have to do a whole lot of marching down the field. The only player I'll exclude is Kenneth Walker, who had 175 yards rushing. But other than him, there's really not much I can say about the Seahawks offense because we just didn't see a whole lot of it. They literally got carried by the running back, special teams, and defense. But now they're going to be taking on a Rams team that's not as easy to exploit. I know for damn sure you're not going to beat them just by running the ball and stopping them. You're going to have to play all kinds of football if you want to beat LA. But Seattle's defense might be rubbing their hands and licking their lips after seeing the Rams' performance offensively against Chicago last week because the Rams' offense was held down by a barely manageable Bears defense. The Bears' defense has not been very good this year. Like I said, it's been like par at best. And the Rams could only muster 20 points, including a fifth period, against that defense. So that's pretty uplifting info if you're Seattle. And just in general, the Rams have struggled to blow past the Panthers and the Bears, who they are statistically way better than. And just, even before the postseason, the Rams haven't looked like a completely solid team in a little too long. But fortunately for the Rams, this is Sam Darnold they're going against, who just for some reason can't play well against LA, especially not in January. And as scary as that Seahawks defense might look, the Rams do know how to get by it. I think they know better than anybody how to dismantle the Seahawks defense. With the exception of that abysmal comeback performance a couple of weeks ago on Thursday night, the Rams have largely dominated Seattle. So this game is really going to come down to how long are the Rams going to play like they want to win. because I've said so many times how they just cannot play for all 60 minutes of a goddamn football game. And now, more than ever, they need to play 60 minutes of football against a team that's starting to look pretty fucking serious. The Rams can absolutely beat the Seahawks. They just need to stop dicking around towards the back half of the game. So, between the prime condition Seattle Seahawks defense and the inconsistent but high potential Rams offense, or just the two teams overall, I have the LA Rams coming away with the win here. Dude, how many times are you gonna pick the Seahawks to lose these games? As many times as I motherfucking need to, okay? I'm sorry, I don't know what more it takes. The Seahawks are literally in the NFC Championship and I still cannot take them seriously. I just don't see them as a Super Bowl team. I really don't. So this means that I have the New England Patriots taking on the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 60. That is the rematch I have for this upcoming final dance, and I pray to God it is nothing like the first matchup. You can say all you want about how that was a defensive game and it was actually really good, but you're kidding yourself if you're gonna sit up there and say that that was a fun game to watch, because it absolutely wasn't. That game was about as pleasant on the eyes as the NFL's highlight videos of the games this season. Their editing is still garbage. I don't know who they hired to edit those YouTube videos for the highlight games, but they need to be fired now. We can't keep going through that. But anyway, let us just kick back and enjoy these final 3 NFL games, because these next 6 months are gonna feel like 6 years, I'm telling you. And I personally am one miserable little man when there is no NFL football being played every week.